Hello and welcome back, friends. It's Michael Yates, your host for Ridgeview's video podcast, where we try to cover everything hope, healing, and recovery related. I always like to draw your attention to our COVID helpline, 833-503-0348. This is going to be available through the end of June. So whenever you're listening to this, if you or someone you know may need to talk with someone who's been impacted by COVID-19, give them a shout. There are trained counselors that are available to help you talk through and network you to resources that may help you out. My guest today, Ann Pirtle. I know you're super excited to be here.
Couldn't be happier.
I know. So let's set the stage. So Nathan Ray with Roane County Anti-Drug Coalition, maybe about a month ago, came to visit us at the Roane Outpatient Clinic. And was wanting just to talk about mental health and social media.
Right.
And as a result of that, it just seemed like, well, of course. Oh, well, Ann, you need to come on and let's just keep the conversation going.
And here we are.
Okay, so I have before me a coin. Now, our viewers probably can't tell that this is really a washer, but because I actually don't have a coin in my pocket, it's a washer to symbol a coin. Now, there are two sides to every coin.
Or washer.
So I also have before me this device. And hopefully it's on vibrate, yes. There are two sides to this device as well. So let's use that as sort of a metaphor for talking about social media. Do you like social media?
I do.
So well, tell me why you like it.
I think it can be a lot of fun. I have lots of family members that live all over the place, so it allows me to stay connected to them when I wasn't able to before. Let you get involved with causes and raise awareness, and there's just all sorts of fun things that you can do.
Yeah. I've got family members in the great state of Michigan, the great state of Arkansas, soon to be Georgia. Our producer Ed will like that. Arizona, California. We're scattered. And I've been able to stay in touch with them about what's going on in their life through social media. Or Facebook in this case. I admit I also have an Instagram account. Well, I rarely use it just to check on my beloved Wolverines. Or what they're not doing well. So yeah, without social media, what we'd be writing letters or having to pick up the phone. But you can really stay connected here and now.
Right.
So just this past weekend, I was able to arrange a confab, if you will, through Zoom with old college buddies that I got connected through Facebook.
Right.
It never would have happened. It never would have. A couple of guys are like, oh, Facebook. Why do that? Why do that? And I'm like, guys, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now
without it
if we didn't. It was the vehicle to connect.
Right.
Information. A lot of good information that you can glean out there.
Like the Ridgeview podcast.
So you know where I was headed. You were tracking. You were tracking. So yeah, I mean, Ridgeview never had a Facebook page until a couple years ago, and we've been able to get information out to the communities we serve about what's going on, what we're doing, try to get hope, healing, and recovery content out there for them, right? Now, we don't have an Instagram account. We now do have a YouTube channel, which I'm sure you're following.
Yeah.
As are
subscribed.
As are the other 10,000 followers. Okay, we don't have that many, but it's a fun way to. So you mentioned fun. It's a fun way to connect and learn. So the other side of the coin is, what do you not like about social media?
Well, there's lots of drawbacks. So, um, I if we use it too much, we tend to be less connected. So we tend to feel more socially isolated. We're more likely to have anxiety, depression, all that kind of stuff. So that's sort of the dark side. It's, some apps are worse than others, but a lot of them are designed to be addictive, and that's problematic in all sorts of ways. I think sometimes depending on how it's used, it's maybe promotes a little unhealthy comparison to others, sort of comparing what people present to the outside world to what we feel like on the inside.
Yeah.
And those things don't tend to match very well.
Yes. I confess, when I post things, whether it's Ridgeview or my own personal stuff, I mean, I'm telling you the bright side of
Right.
Michael.
The best stuff.
I mean, well, who wants to like get their worst stuff out there? So you're right. I mean, that is a reality. So how do we know when too much is too much? Either time on the device or what we're posting or things we're following.
I would say, well, research says that 30 minutes a day is optimal, which most people aren't willing to limit their use to 30 minutes a day. So I think that we just have to use kind of our own internal barometer. If you get on social media and you feel better, but if you get on there and you notice, like, I feel worse, I feel more anxious, maybe I'm sort of obsessively following different things that aren't the best for me, people know, but the problem tends to happen is if you get on there and feel worse, but the app that you're using is maybe causing you to feel like you need to do it, or maybe have a little bit of an addiction to it, it can be really negative.
I think, I can't remember if you were at the time the director of the psychosocial rehab in Roane County. Maybe you had already moved to the outpatient director, facilities coordinator, whatever those titles are. And I thought it was really cool. One of the classes for the members was social media use and its mental health implications. And it was a great, rich conversation, which I think is healthy. But I think that's part of, what we need to always be doing is talking about it and having that top of mind awareness of, how is this impacting me?
Or your children.
Yeah. So your children, let's talk about kids. What is it you see, or what are your concerns with their mental health development as it relates to social media use?
Well, kids tend to be, especially, we're probably talking about teenagers when we're talking about this. They tend to be very hyper aware of themselves in comparison to other people. And so if they're getting fed positive messages, that's not terrible. But if along with that, they're sort of comparing themselves to influencers or whoever that are presenting maybe sort of an unattainable, whether that's their physicality or lifestyle or whatever, that, it can have a really negative impact, just like it can on adults. But
Yeah.
kids tend to be sometimes a little bit more, susceptible to that.
Yes, the new world of cyberbullying. Yeah, it's real for sure.
It is.
I've watched my kid, not my adult children now. Sands of time that pass quickly. But as I think back to when they were middle school, early high school, that 13 to 15 range, man, it was some hard times. And a lot of it was directly related to social media.
Yeah.
Well, what gives you hope about the way in which we as human beings may be adapting to better management of social media?
I mean, I think that because it's been around for a long time, we're learning more, and they're doing more studies. And so we're understanding more about, how it might affect us and how we can use it to our benefit versus our detriment. And it's just a part of life now, I mean, it doesn't have to be, but generally speaking, it is. I mean, that's how a lot of people get their news, get their information, stay connected. And I think that, there's a lot of yuck out there, but there's also a lot of good out there. And you see people, able to connect and do good things together, and be kind to one another. And, I think that there is a lot of hope out there.
Yeah, I always think back to that old Cherokee legend. I'll butcher if I try to tell the story, but I mean, it's something about, the Cherokee grandfather talking to his grandson about the two wolves. One is negativity, violence, war, hatred, envy, those kinds of things. The other is love, kindness, support, generosity, sincerity, those kinds of things. The son asked the grandfather said, "These wolves are both inside me and they're fighting all the time." And the grandson asked, "Well, which wolf will win?" And the grandfather says, "The one I feed." So it's like, yeah, that's when it comes to social media, I think therein sort of lies the rub. What are you feeding yourself as it pertains to? And it does require periodic health checkup is not the right word, but like a social media checkup, like an assessment of who am I following, what am I following, what sort of discord. We're recording this in May, which is National Mental Health Awareness Month. There's a lot of great information that's out there on social media platforms, amplifying the importance of destigmatizing mental illness while elevating mental health awareness. All that's great. Those are the kinds of things I think people would be wise to kind of self-assess. What am I following? What do I need to no longer follow?
And how do I feel when I use it,
Yeah.
Because if you feel better, okay. But
Yeah.
if you don't, it's something to pay attention to.
So do you have, as we kind of bring this, this hadn't been all bad.
Yeah.
We could easily talk about rock and roll or something, or Bob Marley or whatever. As if someone is watching this and maybe they're wondering or thinking, man, that they've brought up some good points. I really maybe I need some help. What sort of guidance or suggestions do you have for them on next steps?
There's lots of information out there as far as, limiting use, are there some things that you should unfollow, those kinds of things. So, I mean, Googling would be, I think, a helpful thing. Just, healthy social media use. There's all sorts of articles out there and, sources that sort of help guide us on how to use it in a healthy way and how to help our kids use it in a healthy way too.
Yeah. I think when I Googled social media use, I was somewhere in the range of like 3 to 4 million links or sites or articles. So yeah, there's a lot of good content out there. Well, I mean, I would be remiss if I didn't say to you and to you, please follow Ridgeview's Facebook page and our YouTube channel. It's been fun this has been one of the ways which we've tried to promote hope, healing, and recovery is, just having conversations about some of this very human stuff. And everybody, regardless of age, as you said, it's part of life. And so it's a good thing to make part of your regular checkup. So any parting thoughts, Ann Pirtle?
I don't think so.
Remind folks for same day access, what are the hours and days for the Roane County Outpatient Clinic?
Monday through Friday. Be there by about 8:30 so you can get an intake in the morning, or Wednesday evenings, be there by about 4 o'clock.
All right, good to know.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for tuning in. We hope you'll subscribe, ring the bell so that you get information on our latest episode. And once again, draw your attention to our helpline, 833-503-0348. This will be available to folks through the end of June. See you next week, folks.